I'm joined by Soli Sorabji, former Attorney General. Anil Dhawan, one of the most respected names and senior lawyer of the Supreme Court, is joining us tonight. Taking a contrary position on the point of views that have been expressed by Justice Markanday Kadju on corruption in the subordinate judiciary from Allahabad, we have retired Allahabad High Court Judge Justice S.C. Verma. Thank you very much. We'll also have another guest joining us in a bit. But before I begin the debate, in case you missed the exact observations, this is what Justice Kadju said. Our heads hang in shame, he says, when we have to listen to how judges are corrupt and take money. A large section of the subordinate judiciary is bringing the whole judiciary to disrepute. And he has gone on to say a lot. He's also spoken, most importantly, about how some top lawyers are also part of this web of corruption, especially in the lower judiciary. Soli Sorabji, my first question to you is, should there be a sense of shock that Justice Kadju said this?
Well, corruption in the subordinate judiciary is not something new. This is always a public perception that there is corruption in subordinate judiciary, but I don't think you can condemn the whole of it. Surely all judges in subordinate judiciary are not corrupt. If there are some, and after inquiry they are found to be corrupt, take action against them. They can even be dismissed or take other action. But I don't think it was, I hope Justice Kadju didn't mean to condemn the entire subordinate judiciary. I'm sure he didn't say that. He must have said some sections, because in that case it's very unfair to those maybe few honest judges in the subordinate judiciary. And what is more, I don't understand how you bring in lawyers in it. Look, what he has done is good. Certainly it has to be done. But justice cannot be administered in rage. You must do it dispassionately and with a certain amount of dignity and decorum. And bringing in names of laws and all that, you can't just talk, if I may say so, loosely just because you're on the bench of the Supreme Court.
Is that the issue? Anil Dhawan, let me ask you that. Is that the issue? Because last time also you made some observations, Justice Kadju, about the Allahabad High Court. Everybody pointed out the fact that, oh, you know, you're trying to draw a generalization. He in fact later said it's not a generalization. In this case, he says large section of the subordinate judiciary. He doesn't say all. But the question is, Anil Dhawan, you ask anyone today, what goes on in the subordinate courts? What goes on to the lower courts? Do you have to grease palms? Are people brazenly ripped off? Is there some collusion very often between lawyers and judges? You know, there is even talk of former judges trying to influence decisions at lower courts and, you know, a system of intimidation which carries on. Are these facts or not, Anil Dhawan?
Well, yeah. Well, our constitutional mechanism is like this. We have separation of powers, and to maintain the independence of the judiciary, the subordinate judiciary is not under the executive but under the high courts. Now, in the light of what fell from Justice Kadju today, I think a permanent mechanism needs to be put in place by each high court immediately. Put 2 or 3 judges, one senior judge, one junior judge, only half a day every day to entertain complaints and do something about it. I think that's something which has to be done. And secondly, some mechanism by which you can receive complaints, responsible complaints from individual members, not only litigants, and also from bar associations. Because what he said was that some lawyers may be in the loop. Now, if that be so, I think the best way of finding it out is from bar associations. But again, this has to be filtered. This has to be scrutinized. We don't want to give loose rein to irresponsible allegations also. So I think some mechanism, some ombudsman, some vigilance has to be immediately set up by the high courts in view of what Justice Kadju has said. No, that's number one.
But
secondly, no, may I continue?
Yeah.
Secondly, I don't think you can condemn the entire judiciary. So we should not also try to sort of demoralize the honest judge. So that's equally important.
Okay. But again, the question that is raised is, the last time Justice Kadju made the comment, everyone jumps and says it's a generalization. question is why are people focusing on the aspect of generalization? Why are people not focusing on whether or not there is a clear fact in what Justice Kajju has mentioned? Therefore, my question to you, Vikas Singh, former Additional Solicitor General, coming into the... yeah, okay, you wanted to come in, Solicitor Sarabji. Go ahead, please, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Arnab, the thing is, as Anil pointed out, there are a few honest judges and they feel demoralized.
Yes.
If you make a general thing, here Justice Kajju says some sections, I didn't make it general, I appreciate. But why do you say, why do people say about generalization? Because it's very unfair to the few, maybe few rare honest judges.
That is
if you condemn the wholesale judiciary.
That point is completely maintained. Question to Vikas Singh is corruption in the judiciary limited only to the lower courts, Mr. Singh? Because Justice Kajju spoke only about lower courts almost in isolation.
You can't say that it can't be said that corruption is limited to the lower court. You are aware that there is already a contempt petition which Prashant Bhushan is facing, where he has named several chief justices of the Supreme Court that they were indulging, and I believe Mr. Shanti Bhushan has also filed an affidavit where he has also given the instances of how they have amassed wealth, etc., and how they have passed wrong orders for the purpose of... So you can't say that this is... And secondly, Arnab, the way this order has been passed, I mean, the Supreme Court has been all along been very clear that when you say anything against anybody or you pass any order against anybody, you must give that person an opportunity of being heard. Now, what has happened here? An order is passed, a show cause notice is issued, no reply taken by the judge, no opportunity for the judge to satisfy the court as to what circumstances, were there any valid circumstances for her to pass that order or not, and straight away she is castigated. Now that is squarely against the principles of what the Supreme Court itself has laid down, that you have to first give a proper hearing to that person before you say that you condemn that person and you say that you've taken money, etc.
Because this observation of the court...
I think this is a case where...
This observation of the court in this specific case
I was not in that matter, but I am told that
came over the violation of a Supreme Court order by a lower court judge.
No, I believe
in the case of eviction of a tenant who was directed by the Supreme Court to vacate a house.
No.
So that was the background.
I believe it is not so simple as that. Arnab, I'm told it is not so simple as that. I believe there was a tenant, and the case before the Supreme Court was between the landlord and the tenant, and there were some subtenant who had some independent rights which they wanted to canvass, and I believe for that those subtenants had gone to, they were not parties to the earlier proceedings. Okay. So at least, I mean, you at least have to hear. I'm not saying that this was a right order to pass. I'm not even trying to justify what the judge has done. Maybe what she has done may be for consideration. I'm not even on that. But the manner in which it has been done, you know, actually undermines the very credibility of the institution of which we are all part. I mean, after all, you have to have a mechanism. Corruption is everywhere. We are all very, very concerned about it.
Yes.
But the manner in which it has to be sort of curbed or checked is not the manner in which I feel should have been done in what has been done in this case.
You see, in November 26, 2010. Justice Kajju had also said that something is rotten in the Allahabad High Court, and he said some judges have their kith and kin practicing in the same court, and within a few years of starting practice, sons or relatives of the judges become multimillionaires, have huge bank balances, luxurious cars, huge houses, enjoying a luxurious life. And he went on to say these observations. Now you can comment, you can say that, you know, perhaps it's unfortunate, it's too sweeping, etc. But is it absolutely untrue is one question which, you know, which the people will ask. Secondly, Justice Verma, my question to Justice Verma, one second, because my question to Justice Verma is this. Justice Verma, when the court today makes an observation, say, on a particular news report carried by a particular section of the media, it also makes slightly sweeping observations about the media as a whole. It picks up one case to enforce a whole series of rules or guidelines or prescriptions. When it observes something about politicians, it makes some generic observation about politicians as well. Then the judicial community is not complaining. The complaint only comes when issues of judiciary, judicial corruption, legal profession come out. Why is that so, Justice Verma?
You see, so far the judiciary was little away, I would say, from the media. The media hesitated in saying something against the judges. But unfortunately, now the judges are receiving their attention, and many a times they have not been given a balanced view, because there are circumstances where entire episode or things are not placed. I quite agree with the remark of Justice Kardju to some extent. I don't say that it is very incorrect, but I think this type of general sweeping remark against the judges or against the subordinate judiciary is not very correct. Justice Kardju had been a lawyer with me, he had been a judge along with me, and he appeared also before me, so he knows every thick and thin of the judicial system everywhere, both in subordinate judiciary and High Court, and now that he is in Supreme Court. But we must, the whole purpose is to set right the system, not just accuse or criticize things. Unless we know the shortcomings, where we are faltering, therefore he is in a position where he should take care of, give proper directions, take proper steps. I think without doing all that, just to accuse some system is not very correct.
No, okay.
We know where our fault lies.
Sure, but you